All right. How y'all feeling? Man, again, this is amazing. The aesthetics, Jane Ray, Pinnacle does an amazing job. I'm really excited for you to hear this next segment. So expounding a little bit on what Vani had talked about, when we first launched Think 3D back in 2018, many of you have heard the story, but we had a very ambitious goal of raising up over 500 leaders through this program by the year 2025. And as Vani had talked about all the different areas that we have impacted and touched on, initially when we started our program, we wanted to make sure we had a specific emphasis on young people of color to provide pathways to get into community leadership and different aspects of our community, knowing that when you look across the landscape of this beautiful city we have, 50% diversity coming into our school system, all these different things, it was important that we had representation of people who had access and were able to connect with leaders from all backgrounds. And so as we launched through Leaders of Tomorrow, one of the next phases for me was about a year ago, I wanted to start this group, and I wasn't sure what to call it, but I had to have a qualifier. Anyone who knows me, you know, I'm huge on personal development. I'm huge on put your money where your mouth is, put your time where your mouth is. And so I decided to form the Young Kings Collective. And so the Young Kings Collective happened to be 8 young men of color. Well, I say young. Manny's a little older than me, so I won't call that young. 8 men of color to say, let's get together on a bi-weekly basis, iron sharpening iron, Saturday morning, 7 a.m. at Queen City. And along that way, being in the position that I'm at, currently chair-elect for the Chamber of Commerce, having connections across our business community, across this whole landscape, I knew exposure mattered. And so we decided to do these monthly luncheons where we got in front of some of the most impactful, powerful people in our city, that really has influenced what Sioux Falls has become today. And so we started these monthly luncheons. And so I invited up my friends, Jeremiah, John, Jesus, to share a little bit of that perspective. And so if you see the next slide here, these are the luncheons of who we've had the honor and privilege of engaging with and learning from over this last year. We talk about the process. What you've heard so far today, 3 amazing stories, and hopefully right now you're starting to see all of us has a story and we're all in process. But to help accelerate that, these lunches were important because we got to sit down with people that are truly leading all across our city, all across our state in different ways. And the more we can unpack and learn from their stories, we can make it part of our journey and our process, and therefore we can lead forward differently. Now I want to take a quick 30 seconds of silence to acknowledge and recognize one of our brothers, Tyler. Many of you have heard of this story that's going on. Just 30 seconds of silence and positive belief. I'm still believing, not sure where he's at, but just 30 seconds of silence and positive vibes of saying we're believing that he will come back home. So as we sit here, let's put out positivity in the universe and believing that he will be coming back to us soon. So part of that, this whole idea of mindset for us is really, again, how do we help share the journey? And so I've asked these guys to unpack some of the things that we've learned from these great men and women of our community. And so really going to toss to all 3. We've met with some of the most influential, successful leaders in our city and our state. What are a few nuggets that you have taken away from these leaders as to what made them successful, has helped them gain the influence across our community? What are a few nuggets and things that you have taken away from these monthly luncheons?
Thank you. First off, I want to say that the access to this group of people has been probably the most surprising to me, because generally I wouldn't have access to this circle. So I want to thank Tamien for giving us the opportunity to be around such great leaders and people of influence. Some of the biggest things that I took away would have come from people like Paul Tenhaken, who asked the question to the entire group, how do you want to be remembered? when you're gone, how do you want to be remembered? What do you want people to think about you when you are gone? And I marinate in that question for a long period of time. And being as quiet as I am all the time and being as shy as I am all the time, I definitely don't want to be remembered that way. I definitely do not want to be remembered like that. I want to be remembered as a person that inspired others. I want to be known as a person who motivated, who empowered our community. I am heavily involved in the Latino community, and I definitely want to be that light, that lighthouse. And that just sparked so much emotion in me. It is hard for me to speak about it without getting emotional. But this opportunity is unlike any others. To be able to be in this space, to be able to be up here with my comrades, and it's just an amazing thing for me. Another one of the nuggets that I obtained was compassion. I have always been, I grew up in a very strict Latino household, and everything was without compassion. You either hit the mark or you miss the mark, and there was no in-betweens. There was nobody to tell you that it's okay, that it's a process that you are going through. So to be able to obtain the sight of compassion, it is something that I can't even imagine what my life would be without having this compassion that I obtained through being in this group, through meeting with all these leaders. Compassion and curiosity. I think some of the speakers have touched on curiosity. Sometimes we go down the path of being judgmental, and we forget to be curious and just to ask more questions. Because at the end of the day, I think what I have obtained is that we are all more alike than we are different. And until we have those conversations, until we have that curiosity, there's no real way to hit that, to be able to understand it. To be able to understand it, you have to have these conversations. So I definitely encourage all of you to mix it up, to meet someone new and have these conversations, because a lot of us are going to be more alike, like I said, than different. And lastly is that leaders do small things, small meticulous things, and we do them in a way that could be boring, that could seem to be boring. I read a lot of books, and one of the books that I enjoy is Chop Wood and Carry Water, right? And in this book, that is a super meticulous job, but at the end of the day, that's what the process really sometimes asks for. It asks for meticulous. It asks for basically just keeping your focus on the subject at hand and not deviating from it. And that alone can be very, very tough for a lot of us, because we start to question whether we are on the right path when we don't see the results, when the results are just not coming. I'm doing the work, and the results are not coming. So I encourage everybody to trust the process and to keep doing your thing, because the blessing will come. It's just a matter of time. Thank you.
Good job, Zeus.
Thank you. That was really beautiful. The few people that I drew from the most, because there's so many amazing people on this picture behind me, right, that it was hard, but I've been spending a lot of time with Dennis Hoffman, and he gave me this long, little short story or quote, and it said, "The owl asked the snowflake, 'How many of you would it take to break the branch?' The snowflake replied, 'I don't know.' The owl said, If you don't know, why try?' The snowflake replied, 'Because I want to know I did my part.'" And to me, that's the biggest thing in this whole process that I've been through, and this long journey, that it's such a short time, right? But it's still been a long journey for me to find where I'm at today. And it understands that, like, if I consistently put in the small pieces, if I do the things no matter what, and it doesn't matter if I see the result right away, and just knowing that it's gonna happen, and I know that I did my part, because the change will happen. I see it every day. Like, I know that this is coming to be an ultimately thing where we're communal, we're friends, we're people. Like, it's one of those things where I call people in the back, they're my brothers and sisters, and I feel so strongly that we are all doing our small part, that it will break the branch of this nonsense that we live every day, right? And just, we want to elevate that. Leading into the next person was Dana Dykhouse. He urged us to be the change. You know what I mean? What are we to be possible? And that was the big thing. Like, are we the possibility? And I feel that every day, that I question it, but then I'm reassured, I'm validated by the people around me. But then again, I question it again. I know that it's possible for me, and I know that it's possible for everybody else if it's possible for me, because I came a long way. I've done a full 360 in my life, it seems like. And after touching so many different aspects of the world, that this is the one for me. And I can really feel that, and I am gonna be the possibility for everybody. And I am gonna be the example, because I lead by my example of my life, right? And I feel like the last one would have to be from Jason Herbold. He talks about how we react, right? And sorry, let me get into my notes again. He said that you can't change failures, but how to respond to those failures is what's important. And by him highlighting how we respond to these failures or these interactions or these humps in the road or those sleepless nights where you think that nothing's working out, you have to remind yourself, how are you responding to that? Is this for me? Tamien always says this a lot, you know what I'm saying? Like, not asking why, but like, why not me? We step up for this every day because we are the example. We are the leaders. Leaders go first. I've known this to be true ever since I started with LOT. It's real. It's scary, but it's real. And I'd just like to end with that. Thank you.
Good job, John. Mr. Fresh and Clean.
Thank you for that, John. So yeah, for me, you know, it would have to be a quote from Dana Dykhouse, and there's actually a story behind it. So I think you have to ask Dana. He'll go into more details. I'm just paraphrasing. But it was a moment in his life, you know, where I think they were having a homecoming game, and he thought he was going to be playing that game, but it turns out he wasn't going to be playing. And he was very disappointed, and he decided that he could have called his dad, but he decided to call his mom instead because he wanted to be comforted, you know. But his mom told him, like, hey, man, you got to put your head down and get back to work. And the reason that struck a chord to me is because, like, in the midst of our disappointment or setbacks, we want to be comforted. You know, there is a difference between someone telling you what you need to hear and what you want to hear. And, you know, Tamien always talks about there's a difference between advice and counseling. So in those moments, you know, where we want to be comforted and we want to be told, oh, yeah, it's okay, you know, take a break, or maybe you should try something else. If you genuinely believe in whatever it is that you're pursuing, you know, you just got to find that person in your life, or your board of directors that we talk about, and they'll be able to tell you what you need to hear. And sometimes you might not like it, but it is exactly what you need to hear. So put your head down and keep going. And then another quote is from we recently just met with Andy Patterson, and he, you know, talked about the importance of knowing who you are. And this was kind of like deep for me because we live in a society where there's a lot of competition. Everyone has the desire to be leaders, which there's nothing wrong with that. But if there's a huge number of people that just wants to be leader, that atmosphere tends to be very diluted, and it's become very superficial because no one's really unique. So he stated that understanding the importance of who you are, understanding that you possess unique skills that no one else possesses, and the world needs it. You're not going to be the leader in every room you walk into. So you need to understand that. And that comes with a lot of self-reflection and really going within and understanding the depths of who you are, the things that you're good at, and then harnessing those skill set and, contributing to the world, because we all are born with skill sets and gifts that is given to us by our Creator that no one else has had. So it's definitely important to understand who you are. And then the last thing, we met with, I think it was Johnson Construction, Heather, and you know,
Journey Construction, yep.
Journey Construction.
Yeah, Heather.
That's what it was. Thank you. And Heather talked about always being reliable in the sense that doing the job that no one else wants to do and always saying yes. Although she said it, but this was a recurring theme from all of the community leaders we met with, because they had this slow-burning, long-term mindset. Like, I'm going to do the job that no one else wants to do. I'm going to show up. I'm going to be reliable. And as a result, they were able to be exposed to a lot of new skill sets that, you know, their peers wasn't able to be exposed to simply because they decided to do the work that no one wanted to do. So that's it for me.
That's good stuff. So, Zeus, I'm going to ask you this question. Obviously, part of the process, so you're a member of, obviously, the Think 3D team. So you're engaged firsthand daily in this work. And recently, Jesus and Manny had co-piloted the expansion of Leaders of Tomorrow. We did our first LOT Espanol cohort. What lessons have you taken away from these leaders that helped you to apply this massive undertaking of taking our flagship Leaders of Tomorrow program and truly encourage you to trust the process as you translated it and actually spoke it authentically from your own language to your people?
Yes, so at first, we take this pilot for LOT en Español, right? And I immediately, once I took the class, I immediately said, okay, this needs to be in multiple languages, and it needs to be brought to all communities in every single language possible. And then the vehicle for it was already built, right? LOT, the English classes had already been 700 grads by the time LOT en Español hit. And then my biggest surprise was the connection between how the material was developed. So when you look at the material and you go through it, you study it, prepare it so that you could teach it to others, you don't realize the connection until I met with all of these great leaders. The connection was simple. The connection was that Tamien had already experienced this for himself, and he was able to accumulate knowledge, accumulate all of these little nuggets and all of these things needed to fabricate and construct a well-put LOT course. And then it was my turn, right? I got to be in a space where I typically wouldn't be. And what I mean by that is not that I didn't want to be, it's that I didn't have the access to be in these spaces. So to be able to just be around Dana, you know, be around Paul, it's crazy. Like for me, I still can't believe it, and sometimes I still have to pinch myself to make sure that this actually happened. But the connection, the way that everything falls into place after I see it from the perspective of someone that's already been doing it, I think is the greatest piece that I take away from all of it. Because again, you don't see it until you're in it. You don't know what the water feels like until you're in it. You don't know the temperature, you don't know the smell, you don't know anything about until you're actually swimming in it. And that opportunity is the catalyst to what LOT en Español ended up being. And it's through those connections, it's through those experiences of mentorship to an extent, because you know, these people took time out of their calendar, very busy people, to be able to sit down with us and tell us from their experience how they are, who they are, how they are here, and what that process looked like. So the theme of this is trust the process, right? And all of that comes through the experience that I had with sitting down with each one of these individuals. There's no way that I would have ever connected the dots if I didn't have this experience, and there's absolutely no way that I would have been in front of these great people if it wasn't for Tamien and Think 3D. So I'm forever grateful, and I appreciate being up here and being able to talk to you guys. So thanks.
My man John, for those who know John, he's like the Tasmanian devil, just show up with energy all the time, just ready for it. He's been through LOT, all through my life. Anything you put in front of him, been to Elite Mindset twice, now a peer mentor in JI. And you heard kind of that common theme amongst a lot of these folks, patient persistence. As an indigenous man who is aiming to not only change the graduation rate in Sioux Falls, but change the mindset of your people on a grander scale, how are you engaging in patient persistence during the process?
It's these two words, right? We put them in a phrase. And I like how these two words, they're separate things, and we phrased them together. And when I first heard about these things from Vonnie and Tamien, I can look back definitely when I had that aha moment, right? As me and Vonnie are standing on that balcony at Bear Butte, and he's like, bro, you got to get nice with it first. You got to do your thing. You got to put in the reps. You got to do this because we know what you want, but we're not going to put you there unless you're ready, right? Because nobody wants to see anybody they love fail. And I didn't understand that concept until I went home. And I realized that the job I was working wasn't for me. I was good at it, but it wasn't for me. I realized that the community I needed was right here in front of me. The people that I wanted to help were my own people. And I got the opportunity at the end of classes, giving out the leftover food to the houseless people. And the majority of those people could be very well my aunts and uncles, my cousins, my brothers. So then I decided to put my head down and just get to work, you know what I mean? And the idea is that I persistently want this. I want change. I want success. I want wealth. I want a legacy. I want my family to see me as somebody. And I asked for these things, right? And I knew that the only way I could get that is if I was patient, because like they said, I'm full of energy. I want to run to it. I want to run through it. I want to get it done. At the end of this panel, I just want to continue to see what's next, because I know that the end goal is so much bigger than I can even see yet, but I can see it, right? And that's where that persistence comes in, is that every day I'm consistently, constantly pushing forward. And I refuse to give up. I refuse to look back and say that nothing else was a lesson, no losses included. I'm out here just winning every single day. And if you want to really check the science, bro, it's there. I promise you, we are abundant beings. The law of attraction is real. This law of proximity, the principle of exposure is very real, because I'm winning now. I've seen a whole different lane, and I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Yeah. My man Jeremiah, so a lot of folks, I don't know the right people. What if I don't know how to get there? 18 months ago, implanted Sioux Falls, right? Knew nobody. Happens chance got to meet you July of last year. How have these engagements and what you've learned help shape your belief of what's possible and the impact that you talk about, not only just in Sioux Falls, but having on the world? What kind of confidence does that give you in the process of having a greater impact?
So if you want it, you just have to find a way. When I came here last year, I was, I've done everything that, you will quote unquote deem like on the path of pursuing success. You read books, you go to seminars. But I was at the point where I'm like, okay, I've done everything that I can do. I need someone else to help me get to the next level. And that was just my constant thought. I was thinking, how can I meet somebody? And it just happened. I moved here and I ran into Tamien, and the rest is history. But we've met with a lot of amazing leaders in Sioux Falls. And, when we first met with Dave Rosenbaum, he stated something, that rings true for the city of Sioux Falls, and all of the leaders can attest to this, is that the pie is big enough for everyone to have a slice. And it is that mindset that everyone in this city genuinely wants you to win. And no one is selfish. I'm from Philadelphia. I'm from the East Coast. I went to college in Michigan. I've lived in Tampa. I've also lived in Cedar Rapids. None of those places is like Sioux Falls, because everyone here wants you to win. They have an open door policy. Tamien is able to get us in front of all of these people, because they have that. Tamien can just pick up the phone. He can just reach out to them. And it's amazing. It's amazing what the city of Sioux Falls has here. is very special. And, this is something, when it's harnessed, can be replicated. It's starting small, but it will eventually explode. It will explode, and it will take over other states. And Tamien is talking about going to Kenya. We're just in the beginning stage. But Sioux Falls is extremely special in the sense that everyone here wants you to win. Everyone here wants you to succeed. Whatever ideas you have, you're just a conversation away. So it's very special.
Like it. Good job. So last, real quick, just in this, a lot of times one of the things when we get in front of these individuals, highly successful, 80% of it doesn't seem like none of them are going to walk away and like, oh my gosh, that just blew my mind. As Jesus was talking earlier, it's the small things done well over a period of time. It may not be sexy, I want it tomorrow, but that long term, again, you hear the common stories of people just sticking with this stuff over the long haul. And the commonality of all of you in this room, again, as you're hearing today, you have a story. Once you know your story and once you know who you are and you trust the process, that's how you can take it to the next level. And so again, all these wonderful human beings that we got an opportunity to meet with, there's a commonality. And so just real quick, 30 seconds, what's one quick piece of advice you would give or counsel that you got from these guys that you would pass on to someone who's in the process, whether the beginning, middle, end of their story? What's some counsel that you would pass on to encourage them all on the journey to keep going?
It's always not that simple as just making the statement, but the statement would be success leaves clues. There's definitely a lot of nuggets that I could throw out there, but success leaves clues is the biggest one. Just the ability to be able to pick up on it, to be able to do the reps for it. There is no other way. You just have to have the access first off. After you have the access, pick up on the clues and then go to work. Just go to work and be, like John says, persistent, patient, but go to work.
John, what do you got?
It would have to be raise your hand and prepare for the next role. That's the biggest one. Just, you can't get ready for the thing when it happens. You have to prepare. I love that part of it.
Dig it, Jeremiah.
For me, it would have to be just really deeply understanding that the only way you will lose if you quit, because there's no such thing as wasted effort. There's only a lack of awareness. So just picking up on those clues and, find out where you fumbled and learn from your mistake and keep it pushing. That's it.
I like it. So my last piece really with y'all, this is Sioux Falls, big little town, right? When's the last time you reached out to your CEO or your owner and say, can we grab coffee? Again, we have access, way more access in this community than you can have in almost any other place. Invite someone to coffee. There's people in this room that you can learn a lot from. But if you don't meet somebody new today, you're holding out and leaving out an opportunity for you to learn what they've been learning. And so again, as we continue to build this great community called Sioux Falls, I encourage all of you to seek out that advice, seek that counsel, reach out, get the connection, and ultimately keep leaning in with each other so we keep building a phenomenal city of Sioux Falls. Keep trusting the process. Thank you, guys.